What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode. Obviously, opening up another podcast here to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. And of course, I'm joined by my good buddy here, Mythic AZ, man. How are you doing on this Monday morning?
Doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. How are we feeling?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. We're gonna open up another podcast. Obviously, we had another game over the weekend. San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals, and leaving that game, we're now 3-11 on the season. With 3 games left, we got the Chicago Bears, the Eagles, and then ending up the season with the Seattle Seahawks. Uh, Let me ask you a quick question. Does anything ever cross your mind in terms of like, let's end the season already? Like, is it that brutal for you as it is for me?
Yeah. Did you know there was actually a chance going into last week? Or if we won, there was like a chance the Cardinals could have made the playoffs.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Like we had to
That's
win out. The Giants, I believe, had to lose out. Rams would have had to win out. Like there's a lot of things that
yeah.
played into it, obviously, because we're 3-10, but like we could have made the playoffs.
That's wild. Well, we
And of
talked
course,
about this the last
I
podcast that there's still some people in
yeah.
contention with 6 wins. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny. Of course, I see the post after we lose, and I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah.
Of course. But I mean, it's just interesting to see.
Absolutely. No, I agree. We've talked about how weird this season was, right? I mean, we could have been 1, 2, 3 wins away from possibly being a completely different season for the Arizona Cardinals. But I mean, we're here, right? It is what it is at this very moment, and we'll have to kind of play it out these next 3 games. But let's dive into this 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinal game. Now, I don't think a lot of us really expected win for this game. But what do you thought, or what was your thoughts of this game, either Kyler Murray's play or the team as a whole? What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of things because this game was just bad. After that, like I don't know, I feel like we couldn't stop them at all.
Yeah.
It literally felt like we were just like at the mercy of the 49ers all game. Like when we needed to stop, we couldn't get it, and when we had momentum, like Kyler Murray threw that pick six, he threw the ball late, had him. It's just a lot of things just didn't go right. And then Brock Purdy just lit us up. And then Christian McCaffrey, they popped up the graphic. I don't know if you saw it too, but he had 7 touchdowns against us. I believe that was like tied. He has 7 total. It was like tied like most all time by one player against one team in one season.
Wow.
Ridiculous. Like we just got Christian McCaffrey just bent us over and just sunned us. It sucks. It sucks. Like
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is just on one. And I don't know, man. Brock Purdy tore us apart too. But what are you gonna do? It's frustrating. It really is. It's frustrating watching one player kind of tear us apart. But at the end of the day, I mean, when we don't have Rundy to begin with, and then you have the best running back in the NFL, you know you're gonna get into something for sure. But when he has 7 touchdowns against you, it's a little insane. Don't
Yeah.
you just kind of at the mercy of somebody, and it's like, wow, that's something. I made this graphic yesterday. Oh, that's not it. Hold on. Hold
Still
on.
like,
Let me go find it real quick.
no
But yeah,
worries.
man. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, while you're doing that, let me, I guess, chime in here. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think anybody was really expecting a win, but I think a lot of us kind of wanted to be competitive. Like the way that the touchdowns were not given, but the way that the touchdowns were done by the San Francisco 49ers, at least 2 of them, like it almost kind of seemed like, wow, like how bad are we? One of them was to Deebo Samuel. I think the very first one were literally, I believe it was Starling Thomas that should have been covering him. He sunk into the middle and literally one of the best weapons, Deebo Samuel. And I get it, right? Pick your poison. They got weapons for days, so it's not as easy as, oh, you got to focus on that person because literally they got everybody. But it just was so easy. It was so easy for him to kind of walk in there and get a touchdown. And that's not even to mention the fact that Christian McCaffrey also fell down and he still had enough opportunity for him to kind of get back up and run into the end zone for another touchdown. Like our defense is riddled, obviously, with injuries. The talent is very, very completely night and day different. The fans that didn't show up to the Arizona Cardinals State Farm Stadium, which I don't blame anybody. Honestly, at this point, I don't blame any Cardinal fan for not showing their face in State Farm Stadium because of how this season has turned out. But like somebody actually said that like the amount of Niners fans that were there, it was like 5-1, like 5 Niners to 1 Arizona Cardinal fan. It's wild. And honestly, if I was Michael Bidwell, I don't know how I would feel about that, truly. It's crazy to see such a big population, one of the biggest cities here in the United States, with such a, I don't know, just I'm not sitting here and say the fans should always support, because no, I'm right there with you. I didn't go to the game, but granted, Sundays are my work days. I mean, I watch the game, but it's also a day that I have to work here to pay the bills as well. So like, I don't blame any Cardinal fan for not showing up, but like, I don't know. How do you think Michael Bidwell feels about that? Like 5-1, and not just that. Like obviously, if you scroll into like social media world, it's Westgate, which is the plaza, or I guess the outside mall across the street from State Farm Stadium. Literally, dude, San Francisco 49er fans everywhere. It was a sea of red, and not Cardinal red. It was a sea of the San Francisco 49ers. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that in terms of, I guess, just Cardinals fans not going there and just being overtaken by the 49ers?
Yeah, it's messed up. I think Michael Bidwell could give two S's, man.
Yeah.
Like genuinely. I mean, tickets were going for 184 for nosebleeds, and it was filled with 49ers fans. I don't care. I don't think he cares. I think all he cares about is in a tanking season, he's able to fill seats with a team that travels extremely well.
Yeah.
It's a little disappointing, because I mean, he's not looking at this like, oh yeah, let's just fill it with Cardinals fans. I mean, we'll sell tickets for whatever. I get the
Right.
49ers travel well, but a Cardinals fan's not looking at this season like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and spend $184
Right.
to go ahead and watch my team get slapped around for 60 minutes. Like, no one's sitting here doing that. Like, I'm not going to go sit here and spend $184. You'd be insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Or you're just a diehard. Like, either one. I just don't got money like that to drop $184 yet to go see my Cardinals get crapped on. But, that's just me personally.
Yeah.
Michael Bidwell, on the other hand, is like, oh yeah, they travel extremely well. Because if you look at Seattle, you can go for like $14.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely
$14.
crazy. There's there's one game left, right? One home game left, and that's the Seattle. And you just called it yourself, right? I think that was a perfect opportunity for the Bidwells and just the Arizona Cardinal organization to recoup as much money as they possibly can. And the 49ers, man, I'm not gonna say they filled up the stadium, but like they did a good job in trying, because it was a lot.
For an away team, they did pretty dang well.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't even their home. You go to Westgate, like you said, I heard it was just 49ers flags everywhere. They had like everything, like all the restaurants had like 49ers logos hung up. And I'm like, bro, that's just sickening to like hear about. Like, imagine like any other organization. Like, could you imagine this happening to San Francisco? Like in San Francisco, like them just getting dominated by another team, like Philadelphia coming in and just dominating San Francisco. No. Can you imagine San Francisco coming into Philadelphia and just filling it out? No. Like, it's like there's teams that like don't allow that necessarily, but at the same time, like Michael Bidwell knows that at the end of the day, it's about this.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. That's what he wants. He
True.
wants money. I mean, I get it from an owner's perspective, but like at the same time, it's just tough, man. Like,
It is.
it's sickening. It really is sickening. And I'm not going to spend the money to go. So like, I understand it.
And that's the thing too. Like if we were playing any other team, like the Carolina Panthers, I'm not sure if you saw that graphic, but there was now granted it was inclement weather over there, but like the Carolina Panthers were going through kind of something similar that the Arizona Cardinals are obviously going through. But there's a lot of questions around their franchise quarterback, and I guess the same thing for us as well. But like a lot of fans didn't show up in that game, and I kind of really want the Cardinals to, like, the Cardinal fans to band together and maybe do something like that, and kind of more of a, but it's such a, it's such a fine line to walk, because you also don't want to lose your team. You know what I mean? You don't want it to go away from it, because we're lucky to have an NFL team right here in Arizona, but it's just, you want this organization to succeed so darn much, and we're always on the opposite side of things, and it's very frustrating. But let's continue to talk about Cardinals versus 49ers here, shall we? And appreciate everybody here in the chat. If you guys haven't already smacked the like button, definitely do me a huge favor, smack the like button, and join the conversation. We're going to be opening up the phone lines a little later on, so kind of get your guys' take and how you're feeling about the season so far. But you called it, man. Brock Purdy had a fantastic game against us. 16 of 25, 242 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Christian McCaffrey had a total of 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 2 receiving. And overall, the numbers that Christian McCaffrey's been put on us is absolutely sickening. It's sickening in terms of like the perspective as an Arizona Cardinal. If you were to give one MVP, oh God.
There's the graphic I made.
Love it. Love it. If you were to give one MVP to anybody on this team, man, who would you give that MVP to? Mythic.
Gosh, man. I
For the
mean,
Cardinals. I'm sorry.
oh, for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Sheesh, ooh, is there an MVP? I mean, if anybody, I'm looking at James Conner. I
Okay.
believe it was 14 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown. A question, real quick,
Yep.
segueing. Do you think our offensive line is good?
I think our offensive line is not the best, but I don't think they're the worst either.
I feel like they're a bottom
Really?
20. I believe since Kyler's came back, they've allowed 14 sacks, which is kind of insane to me. The run, like pass blocking, I will admit is not there at whatsoever. At times, they're great when it comes to running, or at least run blocking, or they're decent. Pass protection has not been there in my eyes. I believe it's 14 sacks since Kyler's come back, and it's over 20 on the season, if I'm not mistaken.
And he was sacked 3 times
Yesterday.
and
it was a Nick Bosa show. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he had, 1.5, 2? And he forced a fumble. There were times where they protected him, but, like, I don't know. Just overall, it hasn't been great. I'd say they're bottom 20 for sure. But, like, I don't know. Like, I like Will Hernandez. I like Paris Johnson. It's just, if you go, like, honestly, from center to left tackle over, you can replace it, in my eyes. Like, DJ Humphries, I think can go. That's controversial. Froholt could go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, there's just a lot of people in my eyes that can go. But if I had to give one MVP, segueing back, probably James Conner.
James Conner. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, he had a good game. I mean, honestly, the run game was working. And I think I think the Cardinals actually put a record out in terms of like having the most rushing yards.
I am tripping. Trey McBride. Oh my God. I looked at the stat. I forgot Trey McBride existed. What the heck?
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean,
Trey McBride.
James Conner is still notable.
That's a good pick.
James Conner had a pretty good game. 14 carries, 86 yards, 1 touchdown. Obviously, this game turned over, and they probably abandoned the run game. But 14 carries is basically kind of what's average of what running backs are doing these days, right? You don't want to work them to the ground, but James Conner had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Trey McBride too. Yeah, Trey McBride. There's no debating it for me. James Conner, I think, is very notable, but Trey McBride has been the highlight in the bright spot for the Arizona Cardinals for weeks. And we're talking about a top 10 tight end already in the NFL. And I'm excited. To see what he's going to be, turning into, moving forward. But let me get to this contribution here from my guy Carter. He says, I will say a lot of calls didn't go our way. 2 different times we had a turnover and it was overturned. Kyler also had nobody to throw to. Nobody is getting open besides Trey and our running backs. What are your thoughts on this? Because obviously this is something that we're going to dive into a little later.
Carter gets it perfectly summed up in my eyes, honestly. That punt fumble was kind of wild to me. They called Greg Dortch the reason he was downed. What do you feel about that? I feel like that was such a crappy call. Like, I get he hit him across the chest. But, man, ruling that down like that is tough. It's so bang, which is tough because, like, technically you can call that the reason. But, I mean, he hit him and he, like, spun off and then fell down. And then the ball forced it. So, it's such a bad call. But, like, I get it. It's frustrating, though, because, like, you just knew as a Cardinals fan, like, they're going to overrule it. Like, regardless of what happened, they're going to find a way to overrule it. And, of course, coming out, they did. And they're like, Greg Dortch is the reason. I'm like, bro, what are we talking about?
Yeah. It was that and also the Kittle one, right?
Where it push off?
No, there was a fumble from Kittle where they like punched it out, but they called that obviously a reverse because they called it an incomplete, which I get it. I don't know, man. It's so tough. It's so tough as a Cardinal fan. I think looking at the replay for that fumble, the way that the camera view that I ended up seeing, the way that they explained it was that we initiated contact for that guy to fall. And because his hand hit the ground, that was already down. Is the way that I understood it. I didn't see a problem with it. Obviously, I had a little bit of an issue while watching it, but like now thinking about it, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I mean, I think it's the right call. You're probably not gonna get a lot of Cardinal fans to admit it,
Yeah.
but like I think it was the right call, especially of what we've seen, because I think there was like a leg contact or something contact to make that guy fall and slip, and then he went down. I think that's the moment it went out.
I
But
don't think he got touched in the leg. I think what they said was Greg Dortch just touched him before causing, because like the ground can't cause a fumble unless you're uncontacted.
right.
So if he's not touched and he's the reason and it pops up from the ground, then it's a fumble.
Right.
But they said Greg Dortch like slapped him across the chest or whatever, causing him to spin and fall down. And then he fumbled. So they called
Hmm.
Greg Dortch slapping him across the like stomach or the chest or like contacting him the reason he fumbled, or like he was down by contact due to that. So him falling down and impacting is just him being down. I'm pretty sure that's how they ruled it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I got to rewatch it. Obviously, with our own eyes, might be a little different, but honestly, I mean, yeah, it could have been one of those things where the Cardinals could have turned the game over and turned around. Because I mean, we were in the game. I mean, believe it or not, like the Cardinals were in it in the first half. I think we ended up leaving that game or the half at they were at 21, and then we were at 13. So like when we scored that touchdown, that would have put us at least close to that, right? Like 20, 21 points, something along those lines. So like that would have been great for the Arizona Cardinals to have some sort of momentum, but nah, nah.
Yeah.
Um, Let me get to this dono here real quick from Andrew. He says calls can't be used as an excuse for any team in the NFL this year. Refs are bad. We get it. Open receivers were there. Kyler can't see them. We're going to dive into this here real quick because I know we got two polar opposites. We got Andrew saying this and we got Carter saying a completely different thing. I wish that somebody had the all 22 access film because I'm so curious about are these receivers actually open or not? Because with what we're seeing right now with Kyler Murray, now granted, I think the storyline of Trey McBride is a storyline that's kind of overshadowing the thoughts of why aren't we throwing the balls to the wide receiver and why aren't they being targeted? Are they not open? What's going on? Right? It's leading all these big questions out there. Now, granted, Trey McBride breaking a franchise record for the Arizona Cardinals, good for him. But like he said himself, he doesn't care at the end of the day, right? He wants a win. Like that's more important to him than breaking a record. And I kind of feel the same way as a fan as well.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that Kyler Murray doesn't have any help on the outside? And that's obviously Michael Wilson, Zach Pascal, Rondell Moore, and then Marquise Hollywood-Brown obviously didn't finish the game. But what do you think in your thoughts? And I get it. It's really hard to get a gauge on Bang Bang unless you're doing some film study. But what are your thoughts here? Because how the season or the game ended, the best wide receiver that had any yards was Rondell Moore. And that's 2 catches, 5 yards. What are your thoughts on? Oh, I apologize. Greg Dortch. I'm sorry. Greg Dortch was 2 receptions, 15 yards. What are your thoughts while I get this Kyler Murray stuff queued up?
Man, I'm not a believer in the receivers. You look at our receivers and like, how many of these people are you putting on another NFL team and they're succeeding as a wide receiver 1 or 2? Like genuinely, we have Greg Dortch and Rondell Moore. You confident going into years prior that these are our receivers that are just wide open, supposedly? I don't think they're open. Wide receivers have no separation at all. 5'8", 5'9", getting banged by San Francisco's defense. They were boxed all day long. The only person getting any separation was Trey McBride. And even Trey McBride is making crazy play after crazy play. That play he made on the sidelines where he went up and turned around and just grabbed it like fingertips. Looked like it was going to be an overthrow, and Trey McBride stayed in bounds. Then he got the first down and reached over. Just having the awareness to get over. I don't know. I love Trey McBride, man. Trey
Yeah.
McBride is the only person who makes any plays on this team. And we said it week in and week out, there's nobody, right? There's nobody. Like, how do you even, I don't know. Like, how are you supposed to get Greg Dortch and Hollywood, or not Hollywood Brown? I mean, Hollywood Brown, like, just wasn't in there. Just at all. Like, he was good to go, and then stopped playing at one point. And I was like, I mean, the production feels the same, whether he's on or off the field. So, I mean, there's, like, no difference. And
Right.
that like that's not even like a direct. I mean, technically it is a shot, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like whether he's on the field or not, it feels like the same production over the past 4 or 5 weeks. So it's like, if you're gonna take time, just get healthy, right? Just get healthy. You're in a contract year, just go get healthy. I get you're trying to get the bag, but just go get healthy. I want to see what he genuinely has, right? And instead, we're getting like 4 or 5 weeks of bad football. And now we're watching Greg Dortch and Rondale Moore basically run wide receiver reps. Michael Wilson was non-existent too. So, I mean, I don't know. Michael Wilson's the only player that I would want to see long-term kept. My stance is kind of changing on
You said Michael
Hollywood.
Wilson?
Yeah, my Greg Dortch too, just as like a back end receiver on like a minimum contract. I'll take Greg Dortch as like a wide receiver 5 over Rondale Moore. I feel like I'm at that point. But like nobody else, man. Hollywood Brown is like, I don't know, as a wide receiver 2 on like a $14 million deal. I don't think I can justify paying him past that anymore.
Yeah.
It was up to 17, 18, and now it's like 14. Like you're just hurting the stock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. I honestly, I said this on my video yesterday. I think I'm done, man. I've been done with Marquise Hollywood Brown for the past several weeks, but I think I announced it, yesterday. I don't even want to pay him. I don't want to sniff the idea of giving him 15, 16 mil or not even franchise tagging. And I get it. He can't control injuries, right?
Yeah.
He can't control, and I'm aware of that. But if you're not going to be available, I hope the Arizona Cardinals are going to really ask themselves, can I justify paying this man a good chunk of what cap we're going to have heading into this coming year? Because we're going to have a lot of money. We're going to have a lot of capital. But like, here's the thing, like, this is the problem with the Arizona Cardinals organization and fan base. We notice things way too late, way too late, way too late. And this is what I'm saying. In the offseason, I've said this wide receiving core doesn't look good, right? Now, we drafted Michael Wilson. There was promise. That was cool. We didn't know what Michael Wilson was, and we still kind of don't know what Michael Wilson's going to be. If Kyler Murray's plan is to come back and you got rid of his best wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, you're setting this guy out to fail, quote unquote, right? But nobody's like, oh, no, we're rebuilding, right? We're rebuilding. Now we're starting to see people change the narrative of, oh, well, these wide receivers can't get this. This wide receivers can't get that. I don't think it's all on the wide receivers. I think it's on a collective of everything. I think it's Kyler Murray not being able to see him, Kyler Murray not giving him opportunity. I think the wide receivers also suck. And I think it's everything. I don't think it's wide receivers. It's your guys' fault. I think Kyler Murray has blame too. Truly.
Yeah.
This whole collectiveness, this brings me back to Kyler Murray's locking in on one specific person. And who was the person he was locked into before? DeAndre Hopkins. Hop, 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 hop. Is it because comfortability? Maybe. Maybe he's only comfortable with Trey McBride. Maybe he's not accurate. Maybe he needs to throw those balls to McBride. Why? Because McBride can actually make those damn catches. And these small wide receivers can't do it. Because let's call it like it is. There were some throws that I was more surprised about that catch than I was about that throw, because Trey McBride is freaking him. He's making these adjustments with his body to make these catches. I'm not putting this all on the wide receiver. True, I'm not. I don't think our wide receiving core is great. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we got great wide receivers. But I also don't think we have 2 receptions, 15 yards worth of wide receivers. Like, there's something off here. There's something off, and I don't think it's purely the wide receivers suck. I think Kyler Murray has a blame to it as well. Now, let's dive into what Kyler Murray was asked, because in postgame, he was ended up asking about this whole situation pertaining to why aren't we throwing it to the wide receivers, and this is what Kyler Murray said. Let's dive into it.
Is going that you've fallen mostly to the tight ends lately, or you right?
Man, I feel it too. You know, I don't know. Keep trying to find ways to get those guys the ball. You know, we like I said, we got to go back, and that's something that I can be better about. And as a whole, as an offense, find ways to get those guys the ball, because I know it's frustrating. Hell, I'm frustrated for them. Not used to that. I'm not used to that. So we'll be better.
Okay, let's stop it there, because there's another clip I want to go ahead and dive into, and that's the Hollywood situation. What are your thoughts here on what Kyler Murray basically just said?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to look at the stat sheet and play the game and not be aware.
Yeah.
Like, he knows. he knows better than anybody, right? You don't need to tell him. Like, I promise you, he knows. Jonathan Gannon knows. Drew Petzing knows. Like, everyone knows the receivers aren't getting involved. It's just tough. Like, I feel like Rondo Moore has just been such a disappointment. Just in general, it's just such a disappointment. In general, just as a football player,
But he
as
could squat
whatever.
600 pounds, Mythic. He could
Yeah, I
squat
mean,
600 pounds.
man.
He could take the top off. And this is what I'm
Uh,
saying is what people told me when I said Rondo Moore shouldn't have gotten drafted to the Arizona Cardinals. Andy Isabella 2.0 is what I'm telling you right now, what people told me. Continue, sorry.
yeah. I mean, I was a little higher on Rondo Moore than you were. I thought the Cardinals could do something nice, right? Like, it's one of those things when you have, like, I don't know, like, I get it. Like, the injury concerns were there too. It just feels like when he even has the ball in open space to make a play, I question the decisions he's making. And that's what he's supposed to be good at. Is when he's in open space, he's supposed to make people miss. He was in open space yesterday and coughed the ball up.
Yeah.
Causing it to be like 3rd and 1 or something. Yeah. And I was like, bro, this is what you're supposed to be good at. Like, this is genuinely what, like, that's not even a knock. It's just like the facts. Like, Rondo Moore is supposed to be someone who fights hard, like kind of like Steve Smith, you know, just has a dog in him, fights for extra yards, makes like the gritty efforts, and is also able to take the top off here and there because he has the speed to do so. But he has done nothing. Like, he's made one take the top off play all season long, and it was when Kyler came back. It was non-existent when Josh Dobbs was here.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, the people I hope that knows the answer to this, that everybody's scratching their heads over, because obviously wide receiver, one shouldn't be Greg Dortch at all with 2 receptions, 15 yards. It's just lethargic. No. It's bad. I'm not sure if Kyler Murray doesn't feel comfortable or confident with anybody else. Separation is obviously the thing that most people are having their heads right now. I think it's an accumulation of everything. Honestly, I think Kyler Murray does have some fault to it. I don't think every single play nobody's open. It's just crazy to me. There's no way that they can be locked up every single play. I don't believe it. I need to get my hands on this all-22 film to really figure out exactly what's going on. But let's dive into what Kyler Murray was asked about Hollywood, because obviously Hollywood's going through a contract year. Let's dive into that, shall we?
Yeah.
Like I said, it goes back to the frustration part. You know what I'm saying? He's giving it his all, trying to be out there for the squad, and then in return, not really getting the rock. And it's just it's kind of like a, you know, when it rains, it pours type of a thing for him right now. And obviously, me knowing his talent, it's tough, you know, for him not to be getting the rock and be able to show his talents. But, you know, obviously, I know who he is, what type of guy, what type of player he is. But at the end of the day, you know, his health is most important. He's got to get healthy and be able to be himself when he's out there.
All right. That's the Hollywood spiel. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know what the injury is, man. Is it still heel?
They're saying heel. Yeah, they're saying heel. I don't get why the Arizona Cardinals felt it was appropriate to use him if he wasn't as productive. Like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that Hollywood was out there. It doesn't matter. Is it the heel injury? Is that what it is? Is that I don't know. It's a big mystery. We don't know.
Kind of weird, but I don't know. Like, at this point, just heal up, you know? Just heal up, please. Like, we're as much as like we're trying to evaluate him, like what we say doesn't really matter.
True.
In the Arizona Cardinals' eyes, right? They're just takes. Like, what do they feel like internally? Like, genuinely, like, is this affecting him as much as we think? Or are they like comfortable paying him? Or is this something that they're like, okay, well, he's been hurt for the past whatever, trying to give it a go? I mean, he's showing toughness, but at the same time, I mean, he's just not able to do anything. Since Kyler's came back, he's been a non-factor.
Right.
Even with Josh Dobbs here, I mean, he wasn't even able to put up the numbers because of missed throws and just inconsistency at quarterback. And Hollywood was just unable to get the ball how he like genuinely wanted to. Like, he would make plays here and there, but I mean, he was missed for like 3-4 touchdowns and almost like 300 yards off just those plays alone. So it's like, outside of that, Hollywood is having a decent season, right? Obviously robbed of touchdowns. When Kyler came back, instantly robbed of a touchdown as well. But man, like, what do they see? What are they feeling? Are they feeling what we're feeling, or
I hope
is it different?
I hope.
Are they going to cap it out? I mean, they said they had positive contract talks earlier on in the season. I wonder if anything's
Right.
changed.
And that's crazy to me that they had positive contract talks because like even then he only had what 300-400 yards. Like this is nothing that we're like he's not a number one wide receiver, and I've said this for 2 years now. He's not a number one wide receiver. It's not who he is. And Baltimore got so they fleeced us, man. We gave up a first round pick for this man. Well, we could have addressed the offensive line. We could have got a center of our future. We could have gotten anything, but we got Marquise because it was to save face with Kyler. I truly do think Steve Keim was like, hey, let me make things better, man. I'm sorry that everything got loud and now you're under fire. Let me get you your boy. It just, I don't think this is where every move it's coming back in full circle and now starting to haunt the Arizona Cardinals, where all these moves, man, and I'm still going to circle back to the DK Metcalf, Andy Isabella situation, man, or even the CeeDee Lamb thing, man. If we got CeeDee Lamb, when people were like, oh, we got DeAndre Hopkins, because look where we're at now. Look where we are at. Oh, it just frustrates me to the living core because the way I like to look at football, I don't look at it as in 1 year. I think of the future. I think of 2-3 years down the road. Do we have people to sustain this amount of, or do we have the talent to sustain it? And obviously the Arizona Cardinals don't, because we stripped down this roster and now we are an XFL team, probably USFL, whatever you want to call us. It's bad, man. Overall, what are your thoughts on Kyler Murray's play? Like your real thoughts on what Kyler Murray did in this game. Do you think he did good, bad? What do you think he did?
I don't think it was a good game. I don't think it was the worst game. We still put up 29 points. I mean, at the end of the day, our defense couldn't stop a lick of anything. Yep. Our receivers suck. Our offensive line is mediocre. Trey McBride is the only target we genuinely have on offense. James Conner played great. Our run blocking was pretty solid. Had a couple big holes. James Conner found him perfectly. Gashed him for a huge gain on one play. I believe it was for like 35 or something like that, 35, 40. But like genuinely, like this team is so gutted. And now that we have Kyler back, people expect to win. But when Josh Dobbs is here, right, it was just like every excuse. But when we put it on him, it's the worst thing ever. I'm not saying Kyler doesn't have blame. I mean, that was a really bad play on 4th and 3 where he threw the pick 6 and it felt like momentum changed. I mean, it felt like Josh Dobbs against Cincinnati, right? You have to play perfect. You have to play perfect. And then we threw a pick 6, and then it's just like things just got out of hand after that. I mean, he threw the ball late. He had him on that play, and specifically, and he threw the ball late. But I don't feel like Kyler played awful with what he had. I mean, I'm not saying it's anything past a 6. I wouldn't even go as far as saying it's a 6, maybe like a 5.5 for what he has, like 5.5 out of 10. I mean, 2 interceptions. You turn the ball over twice. It's not a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, he still completed the ball 66%, 211 yards, killed him on the run as well. But I mean, in my opinion, it's tough, man. No receivers, no whatever. No X factors on the field. Like Robert said in the chat, no one's able to win those one-on-one contested catches. You can't throw any like balls where it's like, if you have Greg Dortch covered slightly, right? Like someone's on the back of Greg Dortch, you're not going to throw him a ball for him to go up and make a play. You know what I mean? He has to have that separation. That's what I'm saying with short receivers. Like you can't throw a contested catch and be like, oh, he's going to come down with a contested catch like Trey McBride will, right? There's a lot of balls you can throw Trey McBride that you can't throw a Greg Dortch. You can't throw a Rondale Moore. You can't throw a Hollywood Brown, especially. Now, you can't throw these 3 guys a contested catch and have them make a play. So I would say Kyler, 5.5 out of 10.
Well, let me ask you this question then. I mean, if you were the coach, right? Look, because obviously we are saying that this is a big deal. If you were the coach, what do you think the fix is?
You have to go out next year. I mean, there's no fix this year.
This year,
there's no fix this year. I mean, your only big body receivers are Zach Pascal, who sucks at football, and then Michael Wilson. I would like to see Michael Wilson go out and make more plays. I mean, the opportunity's there.
Is he getting the opportunity?
I mean, he's not getting the ball thrown to him, but I mean, like he's on the field. Maybe try to integrate him more as well, because Kyler likes big body receivers. And until next year, we're not going to have anything else. So you just have to rock it out for these next 3 games and just pray to God at this point. So, I mean, you really don't have a choice. you just have to go out there and just pray. Like, you just have to, like, put the best product on the field. Is that Rondale Moore and Greg Dortch seeing the field every possession, or are you going to see more Zach Pascal? I don't know. Like, I don't.
Well, that's my resolution. If you're going to ask me, what would I do? Yeah, get them off the field. If this is truly something where everybody's noticing, oh, maybe they're just too small, right? You said you 4 or 5 podcasts, little gremlins, right? Gremlins running across the field,
man.
right? If that's indeed the problem, I get it. A lot of people don't have the good impression of Zach Pascal, and I'm right there with you. It doesn't look so good, right? But if this is truly indeed what Kyler Murray is struggling with, then put Michael Wilson and put Zach Pascal, and then also put Trey McBride on the field more. Let's end this whole shots, fires, explosive, because it ain't working. And then Greg Dortch, bless his heart. I truly, if he doesn't work with the Cardinals, I truly want him on another NFL roster because he deserves it. This man's got the dog. He is a very good wide receiver for what he is, right? He's very good. I hope he can pick up if he's not staying with the Cardinals. If he is, cool. But that's my solution, or at least my attempt to have a solution. But right now, we're not even having an attempt of solution. We're like, let's keep rolling. Let's keep doing what we're doing because it's working. Is it, though? Is it?
I mean, I agree. I mean, we saw Zach Pascal in the field last game, though, for a little bit. I mean, I just don't think he's great at football. But, I mean, maybe you got to rock with Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and Zach Pascal for a game and just see what happens. Have Rondale Moore slot at that receiver 4 possession, have him come in for less snaps. Yeah. Maybe that's a solution, because even Rondale in the backfield is useless. And with all due respect.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, we saw Zach Pascal, I think 28% of the snaps. I think I'm looking at the snap count right now. 28% of the snaps for Zach Pascal. And then Rondale Moore, like you said, Zach Pascal isn't good at football, right? But is Rondale Moore? Rondale Moore is not proven to do anything. Like, what are we holding on to? He's a 2nd-round pick.
It feels like Andy Isabella. It feels like Andy Isabella. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like the coaching staff is just playing it out this season, because you're not just going to cut Rondale Moore, right? Not yet. I mean,
well, you got him on
maybe it comes into it. Yeah, maybe it comes into it next season, or we just let him go at some point. But cutting him, I don't know. I don't know about cutting him yet. Maybe it's like a wide receiver 5 and just let it play out and let the contract end that way. But maybe try trading him for like a 5th.
I apologize. I didn't mean cut him. I just meant like, let's see what else we got. Let's see if we can find a solution. I apologize.
Bench him. Mm-hmm. I agree. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Zach Pascal, I don't think any of us are excited to see him on the field or expecting him to do anything insane. But what else do you got? This is what you got on the roster. It's not like we're going to go out and just go sign somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, Michael Crabtree.
Right. We got 3 games left. You want to join our team?
Hey, Des Bryant. Yo, Calvin. Calvin, come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, that ain't gonna. I mean, obviously, this season is what it is. We are bad. It sucks to get embarrassed again by the 49ers because they're in our division. I think this loss hurts some people more than others. A lot of people's checked out already. You could obviously tell nobody really cares. It is what it is, right? We got 3 games to finish off, and we'll see what happens. I agree. I don't think Kyler had a great game. If I were to rate his performance 1 to 10, I think 5. I think you call that right, because I don't think he had a terrible game, but I also don't think what he did was moving the needle for me in terms of a franchise quarterback. And I'm not saying you need to put 400 yards on the 49ers team, which was obviously a better team than the Arizona Cardinals, but those 2, or that 1 interception was very bad. And just, I don't know, man, locking on one specific person, I want the answer. I want to figure out what it is. I know they're not going to say it because you're not going to give what details, right? And what he truly feels. Maybe he's not confident with everybody else. Maybe he's only confident in Trey McBride. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know, man. It's very concerning. I don't think the Cardinals are going to move off of Kyler Murray. Am I concerned with his future? Do I think Kyler Murray is going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback for us? Honestly, I'm having doubts every single game that Kyler Murray is going to ever deliver a Super Bowl to the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to move off of them because we're the 3rd. And Chicago's probably going to get a quarterback. And then also Patriots are going to get a quarterback as well. And if we get Marvin Harrison Jr., cool. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm starting to doubt, man. I don't like his decision-making. I don't like the fact that we're not giving opportunity to these wide receivers. I need to look at the film to really get an assessment, but just not liking it, man. I'm not liking it.
Do you think going forward, question, because a lot of people are 50-50 with this still.
Yeah,
Like, it's still 50-50. If you think the Cardinals are the number 1 overall pick, if you're the general manager, what are you doing?
me.
If you were the GM and had the number 1 overall pick as the Arizona Cardinals, just hypothetically speaking.
I would strongly consider moving off of Kyler Murray. Truly, if we had the first overall pick in the NFL draft, I would strongly consider moving off of Kyler Murray. Truly,
I feel like
yes.
it's a similar situation, though. I feel like people don't really understand that. I feel like it's going to be worse with Caleb Williams. I don't think,
How do we
or at
know
least
that, though?
I'm that's just my
That's fair. That's fair.
judgment, just my interpretation of Caleb Williams and what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Anyone can light up college. Anybody can light up college. Tim Tebow lit up college.
That's true. That's true.
I never thought Tim Tebow would translate in terms of college, just me personally. And it didn't. I mean, he couldn't throw the ball, couldn't do anything. I mean, Caleb Williams can do it, but he has the persona that he's dealing with, you know. He has the ego. People say Kyler has that crazy mindset of whatever. He needs to go study, he needs to go do whatever and get on the field. And he's Call of Duty. He doesn't put time on the field. I'm not saying Caleb Williams doesn't put time on the field, but I mean, in terms of like big personality that people say Kyler Murray has, it's going to be 50 times worse with Caleb Williams.
That's
You hate Kyler Murray, you're going to hate Caleb Williams. You're going to wish you never drafted him. That's what I'm saying. People are like 50-50 with Caleb Williams, just move off Kyler. Like, I don't know who people want. Like, what do you like? People who don't want Kyler Murray, what is the direction? What is it? Because people are saying they don't want Kyler, they don't want Caleb. Like, who do you want? You just want to trade Kyler Murray and rock with, you want to go sign Josh Rosen? Like, what are we doing?
No, but I think here's the, I guess, and like I said, I can't speak for everybody, but we're not talking about a 1-year fix and everything's going to be fixing it all, right? But we're saying that Kyler Murray is not going to be able to deliver a Super Bowl. That's the long-term scheme dream. Now, is Kyler Murray better than Caleb? Probably. Is he better than Drake May? Probably. But here's the thing. You have $50 million invested in a quarterback that probably isn't going to get you a Super Bowl. What do you do as an organization? You ask yourself the tough questions. What do we do? Can we build a team around Kyler Murray when we're paying $50 million? Most teams can't do it, right? We're seeing the struggles with Patrick Mahomes, right? He's getting paid a lot of money. The Arizona Cardinals probably need to completely re-strip down. That's just the way that I like to think of it, because if the Cardinals have the first overall pick in the NFL draft, I would strongly consider maybe we won't move off, depending on, and if you like these guys or not. I'm not sure if Monty likes these two people. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hates them. Okay, well, if that's the case, then trade back and do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? But if they truly like one of these quarterbacks, truly, and they want to pull the trigger, I say pull it, because Kyler's getting paid more and more each and every single year. Every single year, we're going to have a lot of cap, but that cap can get dried up like this with 2 or 3 or 4 players. And do we have the team to do that with a quarterback getting paid $50 million? And you don't think he's going to win you a Super Bowl? If you do think he's going to, okay, cool. Rock with them. Fine. I don't know, man. These decision makings are really, truly making me worried for the future. His durability makes me worried. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to agree with me, but does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. But here's my thing. This roster was gutted completely, and I'll say it time and time again. This is a long-term thing. The evaluation, it should be the evaluation of Kyler realizing what you have. This team sucks. From there's 8 or 9 people in this roster that in the next 2 seasons are going to be here. James Conner, I can't guarantee that. I would love to have James Conner. James Conner will be here for the next 2 seasons, I would say. Kyler Murray is someone I think we should build around. Trey McBride, Paris Johnson. On offense, that's where it ends for me. In terms of building around. On defense, how many starters do we have? Not sure. We have Buddha. Will Jalen Thompson be here for many years? I'm not sure. Hopefully. I like Jalen Thompson. I think Jalen Thompson's really good. Garrett Williams is someone. Is he a corner 1? Who knows? We're not sure. Dante Stills, is he ever going to be a starter and come into his own fully? We're not sure. Dante Stills is someone who could be a good depth player, right? Maybe a DT3, DT2. Is he ever going to be a DT1? Who knows? Long term, what do we have? Is Zaven Collins going to be here around? Probably not.
Probably
Kaiser
not,
White,
no.
how many seasons do we have with him? Not sure. Outside of that, who on defense are you building around? Oh, BJ Ojolari. Sorry. BJ Ojolari too. Outside of that, who are we building around? That's like 4 players on defense, 4 players on offense. That's 8 players total on a 22-man roster that I'm confident in saying will be here for years to come that you're going to build around. You go to any other team and you have players you're like, yeah, that's a good football player. That's a good football player. You have people on this team that people don't understand how they're in the NFL. You're like, how are you in the NFL? How are you starting on a team? Like, I mean, we're making it work, but like these aren't players that you're confident going into on an NFL season or you're expected to make the playoffs. We have players to build around, but like at the end of the day, like you got to understand what you're working with and the quarterback you have, and this is going to take years to build out. This team is gutted. We cut DeAndre Hopkins, traded Isaiah Simmons, and these aren't even excuses. This is just the facts. I'm sure Monty Ossenfort understands this completely. You have a franchise quarterback. You have to build this team. You can't say Kyler Murray sucks with the product we're putting on the field. He's not playing great, but it's hard to say Kyler Murray sucks versus this team sucks and Kyler Murray is on this team. You put Kyler Murray on a different team, he's balling. We said this earlier. Minnesota, he's killing it. You put him with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, killing it. It's just a big difference from the Cardinals, where we're at now and where we'll be in 2 years.
So what's the benefit from paying a franchise quarterback millions and millions of dollars if this is going to take multiple years?
You have to. It's better to have one than not have one.
But if
And at
Kyler
least be
Murray isn't giving you any
established.
production to do anything, if he's not winning you games, what are you going to keep rebuilding for what? The thing for franchise quarterback is to be relevant. Is that am I correct?
I mean, we're 2-3 with Kyler though. Could be 3-2. We were 1-8 before this. I'd say he's brought some relevancy to us that we didn't have. 1-8 versus 2-3 sounds a lot better. I mean, looking at it as a whole, we're 3-11, which isn't pitted on Kyler, but him being the quarterback of this team, a lot of the negativity is going to go towards him. On the season, he has 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions with a couple of rushing touchdowns as well, over 1,000 yards, 62.1% completion percent. Not having an insane season.
Right.
I mean, the production's there, though, for what he's working with. I'm not saying it's a fantastic season, but I mean, 2-3 since coming back on this team that we deemed untalentless. I mean, people said we should have been in a better position. Kyler Murray's winning those games earlier in the season. That's all I'm going to say. We're winning that Washington game, winning that New York game, probably winning another one. I don't know.
This is where we're at, man. This is where we're at, right? It's just what we're trying to figure out. So let me ask you, because you asked me, if you're the first overall pick in the NFL draft, what do you do?
Trade back.
Trade back.
Trade back. Get as many first-round picks as you can. Maybe a talent. I don't know what that talent's looking like, but go ahead and try to get out. Get out. Build the offensive line. Build the defense. Go get an established defensive player in the first-round pick. Just like, was it Chicago? They got DJ Moore, an established offensive player, in another first-round pick. Trade out of it. Trade out of it. We just got to build. I mean, people even in Chicago are seeing what happens when you kind of build this team a little bit and kind of get players. I mean, I'm not even saying Justin Fields is a fantastic quarterback, but I mean, they're starting to put it together. I'd say Kyler's a better quarterback than Justin Fields. I mean, that's just what I'm saying.
I think Kyler Murray was good at one point.
I mean, but even then we had talent around him. And I would say our talent was a washed up AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, that was our talent. Is DeAndre Hopkins and a washed up AJ Green.
Yeah, but what did Patrick Mahomes win with wide receiving wise? I mean, I guess Tyreek
Hill and then Juju Smith and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce.
Come on.
I don't know, but Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends of all time.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But wide receivers, I'm talking about.
Who were his receivers? It was Juju.
Juju's probably out of the league right now, or if not, he's probably with the Patriots, and he is
with the Patriots. I mean, what receiver is going to succeed in New England? New England is so old school. And I mean, they don't have a QB for
But that's the thing. Like, if you're
anything.
saying Juju Smith-Schuster was good, it was because Patrick Mahomes made him good.
I mean, Juju Smith was pretty good with Big Ben, no? As a wide receiver too
He
with
had what
Antonio
was
Brown. I mean, he was at one season put up a better statistical season than Antonio Brown. I'm not saying he's better than AB because obviously as a defense,
right.
where are
AB
you going
was
to direct
better.
your attention
Mhm.
to? It's going to be Antonio Brown, which opens who? Juju Smith. Does Juju Smith look a lot better in Pittsburgh because he's paired along an elite receiver? Yeah, I'd say if you paired Juju with an elite receiver now, he'd still put up numbers or at least be productive. Is he
But that
going
was
to put
also
up
with
the
Big
Pittsburgh
Ben, wasn't it?
numbers? Yes, I believe. I
Talking about
think it
Hall
was
of Fame
like,
quarterback there, though.
yeah. I
We're not
mean,
talking about
you
Kenny Pickett
pair, but if you pair Tyreek Hill and Juju Smith together on that Chiefs offense, do you think Juju Smith is productive?
with Patrick
Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes. I think he's pretty dang productive. I mean, I'm pretty sure he put up a good season.
Wait. You said if you tie. I'm sorry. Repeat that question again. I
If
apologize.
because Tyreek Hill wasn't there with Juju. They weren't on the same team together. Juju Smith is the wide receiver one.
When they
If
won,
you pair, yeah, when they won the Super Bowl, he was wide receiver one, I believe. But if you pair him and Tyreek Hill, I mean, I'm sure the production is going to skyrocket. Yeah, with the Chiefs, he had 78 receptions, 933 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That was a season ago. That was one season ago.
they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl last year, right?
Yeah, 2022. That's
And
what
now
I'm
he's with
thinking,
the
though.
Patriots.
Yeah, with 29 receptions, 260. I'm pretty sure he leads, or I don't know. The Patriots are garbage, man.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, so are we though.
Yeah, we're horrible.
So
We're
are we.
very similar.
I
I
mean,
feel like if you pair Juju Smith and a team that has an elite wide receiver, you can be a solid wide receiver too. I feel like Kansas City could benefit from having him on the field. I mean, Kadarius Toney ain't nothing.
oh yeah, he's
This man
bad.
is
They got Rasheed
causing.
Rice that's doing pretty good over there.
Rasheed Rice is solid. I mean, I feel like if you pair Juju Smith, I mean, that's me personally. I'm not saying Juju Smith is great, but I feel like if you put him back in Kansas City, I feel like he'd be pretty solid.
Oh man, well, we're gonna find out the next couple of years, right? I mean, because this is gonna be tough, man. Okay, well, let me ask you this: 2024. What is your expectation?
Just get better.
Get better than 3 wins?
6 wins.
Oh my god.
It depends what we draft. It just, I mean, Detroit, that's what I'm looking at, is a Detroit style rebuild. You know, you got to build a team. You just have to build it and show progression. I believe Detroit had 3 wins year 1 with Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Then went 8-8, and now they're in the playoffs. If I'm
Did they
not
have Jared Goff
mistaken,
the whole time? They did, huh?
yes, the entire time.
So 3 wins to what? 8 wins?
I think it was 3-8 to what they have now. Let me go ahead and confirm that
Okay.
because let's see, professional career. Let's see. So we're gonna head in Lions record because if we can have a Detroit style rebuild, that's ideal. That's ideal. I don't. So it's a 4-year rebuild. It was 3-12-1, 5-11-0, 3-13-1. Okay, hold on. So it was 3-13-1 in 2021 is when Dan Campbell was hired.
Okay.
Then it went to 9-8, and now they have the record what they have. And I feel like the Lions were, I mean, they had pieces. They had pieces, but they could never put it together, never had a culture, never had anything. Then as soon as Jamal Williams came in here and Dan Campbell came in here, I feel like the culture shifted.
So
We need a culture guy. We really need a culture guy like that. And we need to build the team with talent, which we don't have. I think everyone can agree that we don't have talent.
So expectation next year.
I would say 6-7 wins.
With
And
a
I hate
quarterback paying him $50 million.
You have to. That's the thing. I mean, if we can elevate,
crazy.
then I don't know, but we have money, we have cap to rid off, we have teams to build. I mean, it's something in 2 years I can see us contending again. It's just right now, like, we're not going to be able to go out and sign a bunch of free agents and draft perfectly and just fill out the roster and make it competent like that to a point where you'd want to pay player. Like, I don't know. People are wanting T. Higgins as well.
Yep.
Which is kind of insane. Or not insane, but kind of like nice sounding if we compare him and Marvin Harrison. But I don't know. We need Marvin, man.
That's not my expectation. 6
What are
wins
you
is not
feeling?
okay. It's not okay.
I mean,
It
it's
is
never
not
what you
okay.
want, but I mean,
I
we
mean,
can't just
I'm
make the
not saying Super
playoffs.
Bowl.
Do you think we're a playoff team?
We better be, or at least pushing it. We better be contention. How weak this NFC is. You're telling a franchise, and that's the thing.
I mean, do we think are we blaming Justin Herbert for the Chargers' inability to make the playoffs?
Well, exactly what we did, right? You fire your coach first, right? That's what they did. There's gonna be people starting to blame Justin. I promise you.
I mean, they're already blaming Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert can't do anything. I mean, he can't make his receivers catch a ball.
I mean, who's the guy who gets blamed? You get the flowers and then you get the blame. No, isn't that the NFL?
It is, but I mean, you can only go as far as what you're seeing on film. I mean, Cardinals have no receivers who can create separation, and I mean, like genuinely, if we're looking at it, Kyler Murray should have brought us to the playoffs twice. You can't tell Zane Gonzalez to hit field goals and win us those 3 games that he sold us. He hits those 3, we have 11 wins. Pat P doesn't get suspended for taking PEDs. We have a freaking shutdown corner for whatever, but he takes PEDs, F's our season up. There we go. Kyler Murray could have had us in the playoffs 2 seasons. Then people might be like, oh, blah, blah. Narratives change. Narratives change a little bit if Kyler brings us to the playoffs twice. But who knows? Who knows?
I don't think they're going to move off of Kyler. I don't. Big shout out to Andrew. K1 magically going to stay healthy for 2 or 3 years. Question to you, I guess to you.
I mean, that's the only knock I have on Kyler. Like, genuinely, is the health. Like, I mean, if he can't stay healthy, then different conversation. That's the only knock that I've had on Kyler. But I don't know. I mean, just got to wait and see. I mean, what is next year to us? Like, at the end of the day, what is next year to us? Are we going to rebuild around a new quarterback? No. Well, I don't think so.
If that's the way the fan base is already thinking about it, like 6 wins with a franchise quarterback is not okay with me. Like, that's crazy. It's
but
not
what,
like go ahead.
Is there any quarterback you're going to slot in here that is going to propel us?
I mean, if you get the weapons, right? If you get a T. Higgins, if you get a Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Isn't your wide receiver fixed, right? On paper, isn't it fixed?
If you get T. Higgins and Marvin Harrison, yeah, I would say so. If you get
Marvin Harrison and then Michael Wilson, you don't think it's helps or fixed?
It definitely helps, for sure.
What do you think Kyler Murray needs to succeed? Like, what would you say?
Offensive line and 2 targets. You got to build the O-line and 2 targets.
So Marvin Harrison Jr., we draft him, right? And then we can get a solid piece, maybe a guard in free agency, right? We got the money. We can get that. Maybe we can get a late round wide receiver, maybe. Or maybe we can, what's his name? The guy that we got hurt. From UCLA, we ended up drafting, but he got hurt in preseason. He might be a guard. He might be a center for the Arizona Cardinals. You're telling me that doesn't fix weapons for Kyler?
I mean, we just got to see how they build it, man. We got to see how they build it, and then we can evaluate. It's tough because throwing hypotheticals is tough. Because, I mean, you could say they signed T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison, but then what does the defense look like? You got to see how the whole team looks like. It's hard. It's hard to evaluate it. But right now, we're not a good football team. On paper, we're not a good football team. And Kyler's 2-3.
John Gaines. That's who it was. John Gaines.
Kyler's 2-3. I feel like people like to pit the 3-11 on Kyler. I feel like that's what we're looking at as a whole, and that's kind of where we're at. I mean, his play on the field has been pretty solid.
What if we're 2-6 with Kyler Murray? Same thing.
Yeah.
I'll probably ask you later.
I mean, we deem these last 4 games as losses to begin with. No matter who the quarterback was. This is a tough stretch of teams that need game. Like, these are all important games for almost every single one of these teams. Every single one. I'm pretty sure Chicago has a chance to make the playoffs. If Chicago wins out, that'll put them at like 8 wins.
And that's with Justin Fields.
But, I mean, if they can somehow go on a magical fairy tale run, it's going to matter. Seattle needs this win for seeding. This is important for Seattle. I'm pretty sure they have a game tonight against Philadelphia.
They do. Mm-hmm.
This game matters for Philadelphia and Seattle. Seattle's game is going to matter more than likely. Chicago's game is going to matter more than likely. And then Philadelphia's game matters because the 49ers now have the number 1 overall seed. It's going to matter. Every single game we're going to play is going to matter. We're not a good football team. It's not like we're going to catch a team thinking very low of us. They're like, they're going into this either competing for a playoff spot or the number 1 seed in the NFC. So,
all right. We didn't get a chance to actually open up the phone lines. I apologize, everybody. We were trying to do that, but we didn't do it. Okay. Well, I think disagree to or agree to disagree, right? I think we're going to find out what the Cardinals decide to do. I don't think they're going to move off of them, but I'm extremely worried. I truly am for the future of all the things that we're hearing, right? And what we need to do with the money we have, with the draft capital we have. I think it should be enough to give him something to work with. 6 wins wouldn't be okay with me. And I get it. You're just saying kind of, throwing a number out there. You don't know, right? You don't know what the defense is going to look like. We might have a stout defense. We don't know. All right, y'all. Any last thoughts before we close up shop today, Mythic?
Man, I mean, that's football, though. It's good to talk, man. Not everyone agrees. Not everyone feels the same way. I mean, this is why we have the podcast, man. I mean, just get the opinions of everybody else, spew ours. Not everyone has to agree, but at the end of the day, man, we just want to see this team succeed. So,
yep. Bottom line, I think we just want to win.
Bottom line.
That's it.
Exactly.
All right. Let's close up shop. Appreciate you guys for tuning in here as always. Mythic, thanks for joining. Everybody in the chat, everybody smack the like button. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you guys do like this conversation back and forth, we are going live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and this is going to be the schedule. Take a picture, screenshot, do whatever you need to do. This is your first time here, subscribe. This is the channel where me and Mythic, chop it up, talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals, and subscribe to Big Red Pod, and we're also streaming here on Apple Podcasts as well. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, contribution, Carter. Appreciate you, man. He says, with Kyler next season, we're thinking winning time and building more. If we drop a QB, we'll have another season like this one. Sorry, let me repeat that. With Kyler next season, we're thinking winning time and building more. If we drop a QB, we're going to have another season like this one.
I agree, man.
But 6 wins is a season like this one, though.
I mean,
or we're just talking about progression like the Cliff Kingsbury era.
I mean, you just got to take steps. You got to see stuff in the right direction. I mean, everyone's going to have to get better. I want to see steps from a lot of players. That's the thing. I mean, we have young talent. You just have to let them come to their own. You have to let them come to their own. See what Garrett Williams has, maybe Dante Stills. I mean, we'll see. We'll see who they believe in.
Okay.
We're going to see.
All right. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day as always. Thank you so very much. Have a great day and go Cards.